Hi everybody, it's Meg from Books Off the Beaten Path. I am filming in my bathrobe again because I'm getting several videos filmed on the same day. It's Sunday, nobody's awake yet. I thought you guys can handle me in my bathrobe. You've seen me in my bathrobe before. So I'm going to do a tag video. This is a tag video. I was tagged by my dear friend Heather, and I do consider Heather a dear, dear friend. I consider Heather almost a sister in Bookland. If there was a Bookland adventure game, we would be in the game as sisters. So Heather, Adventures in Bookland continues with Meg and Heather. All right, here's the Heather tag. I forget what it's called. I forget who did it. You know, all the other things that good professional booktubers do, I just forget to do. So I should have written down those things, but I didn't write them down. But I will have the prompts in the description box. I promise you, I will have them in there. Okay, number one. What books? Oh, it's the dating. Sorry, I suddenly remember this is the blind date book tag. Okay, I think I got that right. The blind date book tag. Okay, we're ready? Here we go. What books do you regret buying? None. I don't regret buying any books. I love to buy a book, even if it's a stinker. I love to buy a book because I get a little bit of a dopamine hit on that. So that's like kind of asking, what dopamine hit do you regret? I don't regret any of my dopamine hits. I love them all. Ooh, hair's looking pretty bad this morning. Hold on, makeup break. Makeup break. Okay. Do you DNF books? Why or why not? At what point do you DNF? And how much time do you greatly invest before DNFing? I DNF'd a lot when I was younger because I thought that I was a superior reader. And now I realize through the magic of BookTube that I am just such a novice. And I really regret DNFing. I can't remember the last book I DNF'd. I think I've got a short on it, but it was just really terrible. It was really bad and everything. But no, I've read... You know, I hate Stephen King, and so I read Salem's Lot, even though I hated it, but I read it pretty much all the way through. I don't think I DNF'd it. I don't think I did, but that might have been the last one I DNF'd. Maybe I did DNF that one. But I will go a long time because I realize how hard it is. I write myself. I realize how hard it is to be an author, and so I will go a long time before I DNF a book, a long time. So yeah, I don't really DNF so much anymore because I appreciate the effort that they put into it. Is there a book you did not want to come to an end or couldn't put down? Well, that was Jane Eyre for me. Jane Eyre or The Red Lamp. And you guys know this is one of my two favorite books in the entire world. But when Jane Eyre ended, when she, and I'm going to give you a spoiler if you haven't read Jane Eyre, I don't know where the heck you've been, but when she comes back to Thornfield and he's damaged from the fire and she says, "Dear reader, I married him," I just went, oh, and I wanted to start it over again. As a matter of fact, I may reread that one this year because I'm doing a little cross-stitch pattern in memoriam of it, which I think I'm going to do. I'm going to show you some cross-stitch patterns, which I think I'm going to do in memoriam of books. In memoriam, is that right? In tribute to represent of. Whatever. But, yeah. I don't really reread, but I might. I might reread Jane Eyre. But that was a specific book that I wanted to reread the whole book or sections of it again. Okay, what keeps you invested in a book? What keeps me invested in a book is, gosh, it's so hard to pin that down because it's variable. Sometimes it could be the setting, sometimes it could be the characters, sometimes it could be the mystery of it, sometimes it could be just the language that is used in it. It's really hard to pin that down, what keeps me invested in a book. I would say that's a book on book basis, book by book basis. And so I don't really have a good answer for that one. What prompts you to pick up a book? Cover, blurb on the back, etc. Oh, really the blurb on the back. Because the covers, the books that I read, sorry, I'm throwing these around. The books that I read are vintage books, and so a lot of times they've been republished, and so many of the times the cover will have nothing to do with the story. And so I really have gotten good about reading the blurb on the back and then reading the copyright date, because I know if I've got a 70s looking book and the back is talking about people taking a carriage to somewhere and they're riding with horses and everything like that, and then I open up the book and the copyright is 1924 or something like that, I'll get that book despite the 70s like cover, because I've gotten really good about figuring out what's been reprinted and kind of reading between the lines whether or not I'm going to like it or not. So I would say the thing that really gets me to pick up a book is the copyright date and the blurb on the back. Do you keep finished books to reread, or do you unhaul them? I don't really reread, but I don't really unhaul either. I may unhaul a few. I'm reluctant to unhaul. That's why I'm running out of room. Because I'm afraid I'm never going to find the book again, which I'm sure I won't. And even if I didn't like it, there was something about it that made me buy it. And so it's like, I don't know that I ever want to really unhaul them, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I unhaul. But yeah, I don't really reread. That's not something I really do. Even my favorites, I don't really reread. Who or what do you trust most for book recommendations? I trust myself. And that's because of I read in such a niche. I haven't found anybody really on the internet who reads the same niche I do. Now Casper's Mystery Corner, I think is what it's called. I don't know, maybe I'll try to link it. But he reads a lot of interesting mysteries. And when I say interesting, I mean, they're not necessarily vintage. Some are and some aren't. But he's getting, a little bit closer to what I would read in a mystery. I like the cozies, I like the classics. He reads those and everything like that. But Heather, like my dear friend Heather, she reads way above my intelligence level. And so, like, I don't really get my book recommendations from BookTube, because people are they're either reading bestsellers, which I don't have a problem with. This is just my experience with bestsellers lately has been kind of down the tubes. Or they're reading stuff that's really hard. I don't like to read stuff that's really hard. I like to read stuff that entertains me, because I am a child. Okay. Bonus question. Would you ever pick up a book and read it without knowing anything about it, or conversely, let someone else choose the book for you? Ooh, probably not. I would not do that. I'm not that much of a risk taker. I'm not a risk taker at all, but I'm not that much of a risk taker. I would feel very bad if someone gave me a book and then I went, ew, don't like that. And then if I went to get a book and I didn't know anything about it, I would probably put that book back, because I would be like, ooh, I don't know anything about that. And I don't know if I want to spend my precious book funds on something that I don't know anything about that could come in. There's an old saying, and I think it's of the Jewish religion, that says, be very careful what you bring in your house. And I very much believe that. I was at, sidebar, I was at Salvation Army the other day looking for a table lamp. I just needed a table lamp, just a simple table lamp. And they had, you know, half a dozen, everything like that. I must have had that poor man get down every table lamp that they had. And we tried it on and we looked at it and I got underneath it and saw how much light there was and everything like that. And I think I've showed you my new table lamp on my table, my front table with all my books. I think I have. But yeah, I'm careful about what I bring in. I'm very careful about what I bring in. Anyway, that is the blind date tag. And thank you so much for Heather tagging me. Thank you so much to Heather for tagging me. And I'm going to move on and do a different tag, and I will check you later.